everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to a Bookish Friday video. So today's video is my June TBR, or it might as well be known as my hashtag Make Your Myth Taker TBR, as that is the readathon that I'm going to be taking part in June. So I will list down below the announcement video for the Make Your Myth Taker readathon, hosted by Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. I love watching her videos. They are so aesthetically pleasing and calming and relaxing. So yeah, please do check her out. So I'm not going to go into too much of the information, because if you are interested in doing this readathon, you might as well just check out her announcement video. But put it simply, there are 4 categories and each category has 4 characters within it, and you basically fulfill the prompts to become the character. So you have the warrior category, which has the knights, gladiators, mercenaries and Vikings. You have the royal court category, which has the monarch, the courtier, the royal spy or the jester. You have the rogue category with the bandit, pirate, assassin or exile. And you have the sorcerer category, where you can be a goddess, a witch, a fairy or an oracle. Now maybe me. To make this simple, you just have to read 4 books and become a character. But I don't do things simply, so I want to become 4 characters, 1 from each category. So I have 16 books, but that's on average how many books a month I read, so you know what you're gonna do. So first of all, I want to choose the exile, and so the first prompt for that is to read a banned book. Now this took me some researching, because I've never heard of any books that have been banned before, and I came across a website where it gave you a list of banned books. I will see if I can link that for you in the description box below if you're interested in looking at what books have been banned. Apparently Harry Potter was one of them. Who knew? But I'm not reading Harry Potter. No, apparently this book was banned. Frankenstein. Wonder why. So this is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and I have been looking forward to reading this ever since I purchased it. In fact, ever since I read Dracula, I've wanted to read Frankenstein. Then I saw a film on Netflix about Mary Shelley and her life, and then I really wanted to read Frankenstein. And then just a week or 2 ago, I saw on YouTube the National Theatre were putting on the show, or were showing the video of their show of Frankenstein that had Benedict Cumberbatch in it as Victor Frankenstein, and I watched it and I loved it, and then I really wanted to read this story. So yes, very excited about this one. It is a short story. It's only 170 pages. I thought it would be a lot longer than that, but no, it's a very short story about this poor creature who has been created by Victor Frankenstein and then is shunned by society because he's different. So yes, I'm going to be reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The next prompt is to read a book with a dark cover. And so for that one, I have picked Hourglass by Claudia Gray. Now this is the 3rd book in the Evernight series by Claudia Gray, which I have been reading slowly, very slowly. I've been working my way through these books. I finished Stargazer, which was book 2 in the month of May, so spoilers for my wrap up. So I am moving on to book 3 because I read book 1 last year, and it's been a while, obviously, since picking up book 2 in the month of May, and so I don't want to leave it as long for book 3, so I am going to stick it into the June TBR. So if you don't know, Evernight, the first book in this series, is about a young girl who is starting a new school, and think Twilight. It is a romance. It is a paranormal romance or supernatural romance. But I'm not going to give too many details actually, because I think that the biggest point of the story is actually quite a nice, like, breath of fresh air for me. So I quite liked discovering the twist myself. So I'm not going to give too much away, but I am going to say, if you're looking for a Twilighty kind of novel, YA, cheesy, paranormal romance, the Evernight series is a real fun read. It's not great literature, let's be honest, but it is a fun, you know, it's on that level of Twilight, Hush Hush, and things like that. So yes, I've been reading them. Unfortunately, I don't have the first book in my collection anymore. I did give it to charity, but I do have the second, third, and I have the fourth book in my collection as well to read when I'm ready. So yes, I'm going to be moving on to Hourglass, which is book 3 in the Evernight series by Claudia Gray. The third prompt is to read an outsourced book, so a book not from your physical TBR. And so for that one, I am going to turn to my Amazon Fire tablet. And so on here, I have access to some books from the Kindle store. I have quite a few books on there. To name a few, let me just open up my books, see all of my books. So these are some of the books that I have on here. So I have The Pale Dreamer by Samantha Shannon, which is a Bone Season novella, so I could possibly read that. I have a sample of Battle Mage by Stephen Aryan. That's only, I think, the first 5 chapters, so I probably won't read that for it. I have Cruel King, which is the sequel to Dark Unicorn. I have The Mermaid's Sister. I have Limited Wish by Mark Lawrence. I have Dark King, Queen of Mermaids, Harley Merlin and the Mystery Twins, The Cruel Fae King, and One Word Kill and Dispel Illusion, also by Mark Lawrence. Yeah, I've got a few different ones on there, so whichever one I fancy picking up at the time, that is the one I will read. And the final prompt for the Exile is to read a disliked book. So for this, I turned to YouTube and I put in the search bar books I hated the most in 2019, because I thought a lot of people at the end of 2019 were putting up videos like my best books of 2019 and my worst books of 2019. So I thought, what a great place to try and find a book that I had on my shelves that I hadn't read that somebody disliked. And funnily enough, I had to watch a couple of videos, but in the end it was the Book Pusher. I will link her channel for you down below. It was her video that I watched, and she mentioned that she hated this book. She didn't like it. It was a letdown for her. It is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, and seeing as I have recently finished the Six of Crows duology, again, spoilers for May's wrap-up, I was ready to move on to the next book, which is King of Scars. So this is kind of like a spin-off, I want to say, from the Grishaverse trilogy and the Six of Crows duology, because this follows Nikolai, who is a character in the first 3 books. Well, he kind of comes into play in the second book of the trilogy, of the Grishaverse trilogy, and a lot of people really, really like his character. Sorry, it's very, 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 very flashy. A lot of people liked his character a lot in the Grishaverse trilogy, but they seem to dislike this book, even though it's based on him. And he's a main character in this one, so I want to see what all the fuss is about. This is a beautiful book, by the way. This is the front cover, but when you take off the paper wrapping, look at that. Look at that stunner! Isn't that beautiful? It's so gorgeous! So yes, I cannot wait to read this one. And once I've completed all 4 of those books, I will become an exile. The next character I want to try to become is an oracle. So the first prompt for that is to go into a book blind, which means to go into it without knowing what it is about. And that book for me is Into the Crooked Place by Alexander Cristo. I bought this because I loved her other book, which is To Kill a Kingdom, mainly because it's about mermaids. And so I wanted to purchase this book, and when Fairy Loot was publishing this really special edition with beautiful, weird sprayed edges, I knew that I had to get the copy. So yes, I bought it. I don't know what it's about. I think there's a cast of different people brought together for something. I don't know. And that's the whole point of the prompt. I don't know. The next prompt is to read a book with a foiled cover. And I did mention this series a little earlier. It was the Hush Hush series. And I am on to the final book, finale. See what they did there. By Becca Fitzpatrick. I am buddy reading this with Charlotte from A Wacky World of Lottie, and we are on to the final book. So I am putting it into my TBR this month because I keep forgetting to do that and then having to add an extra book onto my TBR. So I'm going to be clever and add it into my TBR so that it's definitely going to get read this month. So yes, we are buddy reading finale together with Charlotte. And it fits this prompt because it has a very shiny cover. The next prompt is to read a book about books, and I love books about books. And I received this one from a friend. So this is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith, and this is a story about a place where unfinished books go to live. So characters from unfinished books are in this place, this kind of unwritten wing, a neutral space in hell, presided over by Claire, its head librarian. And then a hero escapes and all hell breaks loose. So I can't wait to read this. It looks really interesting. We have a little devil dancing down here, so yes, really excited to read this one. And thank you to Bex for buying it for me. And the final prompt for this is a 5-star prediction book. And for that, I went back to my video that I posted earlier in the year about books that I predict I will end up giving 5 stars to. Now, I'm not gonna lie, spoilers here, but I'm not doing very well with those books. So I picked another one, and I am hoping that this one is going to be a 5 stars. It is Fairy Tales for Millennials, 12 Problematic Tales Retold for the Modern World by Bruno Vincent. So here we have Little Red Riding Hood taking a selfie, because as you do. So yeah, this is basically fairy tales as if they were written in our time now. I figure this is going to make me laugh, it's going to make me smile, it's going to make me chuckle at all the funny things it's going to say. So yeah, I reckon it will be a 5 stars. Let's wait and see, shall we? So that's that prompt. And once I finish all 4 of those books, I will become an oracle. So the next character I want to become is a Viking. And so the first prompt in that one is to read a book set in a cold place. Now, I don't think this one is set in a cold place, but I'm thinking that down in the depths of the ocean, it does get pretty cold. And this one is Ice Massacre by Tiana Warner. It is a mermaid book, and I believe this is an indie published book, so I really like that when I purchased this, it was helping some indie publisher company. And it says, a mermaid's supernatural beauty serves one purpose, to lure a sailor to his death. The Massacre is supposed to bring peace in Ariana Quay. Every year the island sends its warriors to battle these hostile sea demons, and every year the warriors fail to return. And I believe that this year they decide that instead of sending men, they're going to send women and see how they survive against these killer mermaids, these killer sirens. So yeah, I'm thinking that although it sounds like the island is maybe set in some tropical area, that the water, the further down you go, might get cold. And the fact that it's called Ice Massacre, yeah, it's ice is cold. Like, we're going with that. I keep twisting these prompts to fit the books I want to read. But yeah, I wanted to read Ice Massacre by Tiana Warner, and I'm reading it for this prompt. The next prompt is to read a book with a weapon on the cover. Now, I had to quickly change out this prompt because I didn't manage to fit it into May's TBR. I did try, I really did try, but I just didn't have the time to read it. And that is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, which is Mistborn Book 2. I was supposed to read it in May and just didn't get around to it. So I am going to be reading this in June instead. So this is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy. And the first book, we are following a young girl called Vin, who has been brought into a kind of rogue band group who are trying to overthrow the Dark Lord, who's ruling the land. And there are people within this land who are able to consume different metals to get different magical abilities, but there are some people who are able to consume all the metals and use all the magic via all the metals, and they are called Mistborns. So yes, I thoroughly enjoyed the first book and I cannot wait to get to the second book. I just ran out of time in May, that's all I'm going to say. The next prompt is a book featuring a journey, so we're going to go with Gulliver on his travels. We're going to read Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. This is a classic. It's only a very short classic, but yeah, should be a quick read, possibly. I normally listen to my classics via audiobook anyway, so this will be a good audiobook to listen to during the month. So yes, I'm going to be reading Gulliver's Travels for my featuring a journey book prompt. And the final prompt for becoming a Viking is an overhyped book. Now, I struggled with this one. There was a couple of books that I was thinking about reading, but then they were going to be the start of a new trilogy, and I have so many like series and trilogies that I'm in the middle of. I just need to start trying to finish them rather than starting more. So I decided to veer off the fantasy path here and read something that I've only read 2 other books from this genre so far this year. So I really need to read more of this genre, and that is a thriller. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I believe this has been hyped in the past, like a lot of people really loved it. They love the film. It's been really interesting. So I think it's had its hype a few years ago, but I know that it has been hyped up in the past. So this is a thriller, and it says there are 2 sides to every story. Who are you and what have we done to each other? Yeah, it's a thriller. I don't know much more than that. This could have been the book I could have gone in blind with, but yeah, I need to read a thriller because I've only read 2 so far this year, and I've read a lot of fantasy, so I needed to get something different in for the month of June, and this was it. So I'm reading Gone Girl for my last prompt to become a Viking. Now, the final character that I want to become is a courtier. So, the first prompt of this is to read a book with a big cast of characters. Now, you can't get a bigger cast of characters than Shadowhunters, because there are a lot of series in the Shadowhunters world. We have 6 books in the Mortal Instruments, we have 3 books in the Infernal Devices, and we have 3 books in the Dark Artifices series. And also she's bringing out even more, because we have the Red Scrolls of Magic, we have Chain of Gold. I am going to be moving on to the second book in the Infernal Devices, which is Clockwork Prince in the for June. So I have been reading the first book in the month of May and been thoroughly enjoying it, actually, so I can't wait to move on to book 2. I'm not going to let this trilogy take me as long as it took me to read the Mortal Instruments series. I am just not. So yeah, I'm going to be moving on to Clockwork Prince as my first prompt to become a courtier, which is to read a book with a big cast of characters. My second prompt is to read a book with royal colours on the cover, which are red, purple or gold. And the book I have chosen has purple and gold on it, and it is the third book in the Magisterium series, which is The Bronze Key by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. Now, in the month of May, I did take part in the Believathon, and I read books 1 and 2 for that. Again, it was a buddy read with Charlotte, so I'm hoping that she will continue with me and carry on with book 3 in the month of June. My third book for the courtier prompt is to continue a series, and so for that one I am going to move on to book 3 of the Slinger series by Sebastian de Castel, and this one is Charmcaster, and this one's got beautiful orange sprayed edges. This is a fun, hilarious, sarcastic kind of book. I really enjoy Sebastian de Castel's writing, and yeah, I can't wait to see what is happening to Kellen in the third book. I might have to reread the last couple of chapters of the second book because it's been a while since I picked it up, but that's all I do when I haven't picked up the last book in a series for a while, is I just go back to the previous book and read the last couple of chapters, pick up what's happening, remind myself how it ended, and then I move on to the new book. So it's not too big of an issue, but yeah, that's why I need to carry on with the series, because otherwise I'm going to forget what's happened. So Charmcaster by Sebastian de Castel. And the final book that I plan to read in June is the prompt to read a host's fave. Now, in Ashley's video, in her description box, you will find links to printouts for all the prompts and everything, but also a little file that shows Ashley's 6 favourite books and also Charlotte's favourite books, not Charlotte from Wacky World of Lottie, a different Charlotte, and so you can pick one of those 12 there, and luckily for me this book was on there, and I have been wanting to get into this since finishing the Throne of Glass series. So this is of course A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. This is the first book in her well, Court of Thorns and Roses series. Yes, I don't think it has another name, but yeah, this is a very smutty romance, fantastical romance book. It does say on the back, contains mature content not suitable for younger readers. So yes, please, no young people reading this. So yeah, it says she stole a life, now she must pay with her heart. I believe this is based on a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's about a young girl called Feyre, and she one day slaughters a wolf, only to find out that the wolf was actually a fairy, and so she is taken by the fairies to, or the fays, to go and live with them to work out a punishment for her. I believe a lot of people who like Sarah J Maas like this series more than they like Throne of Glass. So I want to see if I do too, because it's going to take a lot to beat Throne of Glass. I did love that series. So yeah, I can't wait to move on to this one. So that is it. That is all of the books that I plan to read in June. So I have my Courtier TBR, which is these 4 books. My Viking TBR, which is these 4 books. My Oracle TBR, which is these 4 books. And last but not least, my Exile TBR, which is these 3 books, plus my Amazon Fire Kindle book, something or other. I will choose one closer to the day. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!